How delightful to see so many people here on Memorial Day. At the end, I made a handout. It's in the back. I don't think I made enough because I really didn't anticipate this many people. And so you can call me. Dee Dee knows how to get in touch with me. Nick and Greg. Where's Greg? Right here. Yeah, he knows how to get in touch with me too. Okay? Okay. Okay, now start the clock, please. Okay? Now you get only 20 minutes here. I'm used to speaking 45 minutes, so I had to really chop down my talk again. You know what? I love the energy here. I just have to say, the energy here is just so delicious. Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice because, you know, I'm not a pastor any longer. Of course, I travel and speak, but it's so nice to come in a group where people are just so open and receptive. They're alive, and it's really obvious. I mean, if you could see, there's such a radiant aura of light around everyone. So, again, I thank you for having me here. So, with New Thought Principles, we are taught to reconcile the apparent separation of the spiritual world with the material world. It was Ernest Holmes, the philosopher and founder of Science of Mind, who wrote that our experience is the logical outcome of our inner vision. Our experience is limited only to the confines of our consciousness, our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, our attitudes and actions. And whenever our consciousness lacks a true perspective, he said, and this is the quote part, it will lack proper harmony, and this is where we must reconcile our consciousness. This is why we are taught to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. So what exactly does it mean to reconcile? I looked up the word in my trusty thesaurus in my dictionary, and there were a lot of synonyms: to settle, to bring to terms, to resolve differences, to mend, to make peace with, to reunite, to get back together, to bridge the gap, to restore harmony, to smooth, to heal, and it actually said to kiss and make up. See me later for that. Okay, so if we look at these definitions, because we always take everything back to consciousness and New Thought, we always take it back to our perception. As applied to the self, I want to look at these terms. To feel internally settled, to bring to terms all aspects of ourself, to resolve internal differences, to mend our hearts, to make peace with ourselves, to reunite with our greatness, to get back together with the self, to bridge the gap from where we are to where we want to go, to restore emotional harmony, to smooth the harsh edges and to heal wounds. Powerful reconnection, isn't it? Well, if you're like most of humankind, you really aren't reconciled with yourself. In fact, there's probably many aspects within you that are unsettled, or maybe even you're ashamed of, or aspects that you haven't made peace with, aspects that you try to hide, and you think, well, you know, I'm not really spiritual if I'm thinking this, or if people know that I have this negative thoughts or feeling, they're not going to accept me and they're not going to love me for who I am. Or perhaps you have feelings that you don't want to feel, or thoughts that you really don't want to think, because you know that you're a creative being, that you create from your thinking, so you better not feel anything negative or think anything negative, because then you're doomed. Now there's a problem here. And for everybody's going, there is no problems, it's only challenges. It's a problem. The problem is when we try to hide parts of who we are, when we've not reconciled who we are, when we don't allow ourselves to feel what we are really feeling, we cannot be authentic, nor can we be whole in our expression. And if we're not authentic and whole in our expression, we cannot truly be free, we cannot truly be joyous, we cannot truly be on purpose, and mostly, we cannot truly allow the connection of God. I told you a gazillion times, I know I've come here a gazillion times, our direct inheritance of God is love and wisdom. So then we're blocking the love and the divine ideas. So I want to talk, I'm talking about expressing the authentic self. Now, in New Thought, we teach it's all good, it's all God. Core concept, if you ever traveled around the country, Centers for Spiritual Living, they teach foundational, and that's the core concept. And then another one is we are all God, an expression, that we are physical manifestations of the divine. So, then if that is true, then it's got to be all good. Everything must be all good. Ernest Holmes, in the 2007 issue of Science of Mind magazine, wrote, If we are of God or life, an inalienable part of that creative force which spoke us into being, that which is true of God or whole must be true of the part. And that which is true of God, excuse me, is goodness, peace, harmony, abundant strength, energy, health, and vitality. In the word, perfection. I am perfection. Say that with me. I am perfection. Okay, so here's what needs to be reconciled. What do we do with the stuff? What do we do with that doesn't look so good and doesn't feel so good? How do we manage that? How do we, the stuff that's not perfect, impatience, judgment, being critical, sadness, grief, shame, hatred, fear, anger, arrogance, prejudice, and that's enough. So what do we generally do? We ignore them, right? I noticed a couple of people going, okay, we ignore them and we stuff them down, right? Because I don't want to feel that. I'm a New Thought student. Especially a lot of ministers have this issue. You know, I remember I used to pastor a long time ago, and I remember I came to church one Sunday and I had a cold, and they were like, if you're sick, oh my God, I'm going to die, you know. We can get so judgmental, can't we? So all this stuff hides within us, and what happens is we stuff it down. It takes a lot of energy to stuff stuff down. It takes a lot of space in us. Debbie Ford, recently deceased, she wrote The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. Have you read the book? Yeah, good book, Dark Side of Light. She said if we wake up feeling worthless, we're supposed to pretend that we don't feel that way. We're supposed to say to ourselves, I am worthy, and then hope to feel worthy later in the day. And so we go to work pretending we feel worthy, because feeling unworthy is not okay. And so we hide behind this mask all day, hoping there's no one. And so she says something really good here. I love this. So she said here that we're not being ourselves. We're resisting. She talks about this. And then she said, we're told affirmations will make us okay. But as I tell people in my lectures, she said this, not me, if we put ice cream on top of poo-poo, she said that. After a few spoonfuls, we're going to taste the poop again. So it takes a lot of energy to stuff and hide our negative feelings, right? It does. And she said, try taking a piece of food, like a piece of grapefruit. And she said, try walking around all day hiding it from yourself. Can you imagine walking away hiding it from yourself and hiding it from others? How much energy does that take? It takes a lot of energy. And so I want to teach you a simple method based on the NVC model. Who knows what NVC is? Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. And he's also recently deceased. A lot of light work is moving on, actually. Okay, so... and I want you to know about what to do with feelings that are either debilitating or uncomfortable. And so this is the handout sheet that you take home later. Joseph looked at it and goes, oh my gosh, that looks like work. It is work, Joseph, in your own time, in your own space. And so what I did is I put some lists here I put together so you can work with this idea. So there's a saying, what you feel, you can heal. And there's another saying, what you resist, persists. And so... if you can identify what exactly that you are feeling, and then figure out which rule by which you live your life is not being met. Now, I'm talking only about the negative emotions. This works with positive emotions too. But I want to support you today in dealing with feelings of grief and sadness and anger and how to manage them when they come up for you. And so, this information is in the back on the table. So, I've categorized the negative feelings. There's confused, tired, disappointed, doubtful, fearful, grief-stricken, guilty, angry, bored, depressed, jealous, powerlessness, sad, stressed out. And those are just the basic categories. Under each of them are a lot of words to describe. And now take, for example, let's say that you're angry. So if you're angry, you could be annoyed, you could be distressed, or you could be enraged. So there's all different levels or qualities of each one. Okay, so you've got it on your handout. When you take that home, you look it over. Now, your core values, the rules by which you live your life, I've categorized them into autonomy, like choice, boundaries, celebration, connection. Hey, listen, one of the qualities of God is joy. If you're not having fun, you should be doing something else. I really believe that. And I have a lot of fun when I come here. Integrity, physical self-expression, and spirituality. So, I want to tell you of an example how I used the technique the other day. I don't want to go into detail, but basically someone threw away about 2 years of my work. I was gobsmacked, astonished, bewildered, flabbergasted, shocked, dejected, despaired, devastated, despondent. I mean, I was just, I started to cry. Excuse me. And I knew really immediately that I was grieving, because I'm so familiar with the feeling of grieving. I was like, wow, how could this be? So I immediately pulled out this chart to help me, because all I knew was that I knew I was grieving because I was feeling shocked. And I identified my feelings. Then I identified what rule by which I live my life was not being met. Well, there was a lot of disrespect going on there. There was not consideration. There was so many... my choice was taken away. My freedom was taken away. It was just amazing. And so what this did, this simple technique, what it did was it allowed me to release those feelings. Because instead of resisting them and holding my breath, and that's what you naturally do, I was like, wow, I feel really bummed out right now. I'm really depressed. And that acknowledgement allowed me to feel them and release them to a very large degree. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but to a very large degree. So then what that did is cleaned up my mind, so then I could do my affirmations, and then I could do my work, and I could say, there's always an answer. I'm divinely guided. You know, this is not the truth here. And so what happened was I got an idea. I sent a text message to someone, and don't you know, 30 minutes later, suddenly my 2 years of work appeared. Oh, wow, I was right. I soon got very smart then and hired a 12-year-old to take care of all my work. Cost me $40. I would have paid $4,000. And so it's all together. But that would not have happened, because what was I ready to do? I wanted to react. I wanted to say, what are you, out of your crazy mind? Who does this? How could you? And that is reacting. But instead, because I allowed myself to really clearly delineate what I was feeling and what rule in my life was not being met, I was able to clean enough space that the divine ideas could come through. I got centered again, and that I could be in the flow of divine ideas. Okay, how much time we have? We have about 10 minutes, right? Okay, good, because I got another one for you. This is a really fantastic technique. This is Technique Sunday. Okay, so for greater connection to the divinity within, I'm just saying on topic, letting you know. So you invite me back again. Francis Wilshire wrote a book entitled You. Did you pick it up, Greg? Did you read it? Did you use the principles?
Absolutely.
Did it work?
It worked great.
All right. Okay, the lesson's over. Thank you, everybody. No. Okay, this is a blessing and praising technique. This is a blessing and praising technique. This is fabulous. And so to bless means to call forth the presence and power of God within something. When you bless it, say, God, I love, people say, God bless you. I'm like, yes, thank you. And so what we bless is the divinity of God within, which is what Francis Wilshire calls the goodness of God. The goodness of God is what she calls it. And she says, all good lies dormant in everything, only waiting to be awakened. Nothing can or does exist except by virtue of the mind and substance of God. And so when we bless a person or situation, we call forth into activity the divine power. So she goes on, and this is huge. She goes on to say, you will find nothing in your life that will pay as high a dividend as using the technique of calling forth the goodness of God within. Hello. I mean, I just brought you like the epitome today. So first we bless ourselves. That's where we start. And so what you do is you say, Janine, well, don't you say Janine. I say Janine. You say your name. For the goodness of God within you, I bless you, I bless you, and bless you. I like to say me. For the goodness of God within me, I bless me, I bless me, I bless me. For the goodness of God within me, I praise me, I praise me, I praise me. Who knows that I like jingles? Okay, for he's a jolly good fellow. Okay. Feeling is the fuel that propels thought into manifestation. That's why we want to be right with our feelings, because feeling is the key to the creative power. And so we got to put feeling behind these. You ready? It goes like this. Through the goodness of God within me, I bless me, I bless me, I bless me. Okay, we're going to sing it 3 times in a row. Come on. For the goodness of God within me, I bless me, I bless me, I bless me. For the goodness of God within me, I bless me, I bless me, I bless me. For the goodness of God within me, I bless me, and bless me, and bless me. That's great. Okay, now we're going to do I praise me, okay? And could you do it a little more upbeat? I mean, come on now. Let's act awake, act awake. For the goodness of God within me, I praise me, I praise me, I praise me. For the goodness of God within me, I praise me, I praise me, I praise me. For the goodness of God within me, I praise me, I praise me, I praise me. All right. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, so for those of you who think that I'm crazy, what you think of me is none of my spiritual business. Terry Cole Whittaker wrote that book, and if you haven't written that book, that's a good book. Okay, I want to tell you what she did. Oh, and by the way, you can do it for everything. I mean, you just can do it. You go shopping for the goodness of God within me. I bless this store, every single thing. And now, here's another additional technique. If you find somebody who you think they're stingy, bless them for their generosity. If you think someone is quick to anger, bless them for their patience and tolerance. I bless you for your patience and your tolerance. If you find someone, bless them for their easygoing nature if they're difficult. And several times a day, silently or aloud, if you are faithful in using this blessing technique, something wonderful is going to happen. Not only do you feel better, but you're going to stop struggling in your mind with this so-called difficult person, okay? Now, I think I have 4 minutes. I want to tell you a story real quick. This is a true story about a woman in New England. Frances Wilshire wrote her book, I think, 1935. So this was the early 30s up in New England. And this woman attended one of Frances's lectures on the blessing technique. She was really unhappy, this woman, because her husband had been neglecting her. He left her alone night after night after night. He would go out, whatever, he wasn't home. So she learned this blessing technique. She comes home. She sits in front of the fireplace and puts a chair right in front of her. She imagines her husband is sitting in the chair. And then she started blessing and praising this man. She blessed him for his goodness. She blessed him for his kindness. She blessed him for his honesty. She blessed him for his integrity. She blessed him for his success. She blessed him for his loyalty. She blessed and released in him every good quality that she could think of, and I imagine she did it for hours. Because the book said she did it all afternoon. So, can you imagine the commitment that it takes to do this all afternoon, right? This woman wanted some serious change in her life. So, she finished, she goes upstairs, she puts on her dressing gown, which is what they did in the 30s, they got dressed for dinner. And around 6 p.m., her husband comes home with a huge box of gorgeous American Beauty roses and a big box of candy, and he gives them to her. And she thanks him very graciously. She doesn't need to mention the blessing technique. And after her dinner, her husband said, "You know, my dear, I hadn't meant to give these roses and chocolates to you. But as I was leaving my office, something said to me, 'What a chump you are, wasting your time in life. Go home to your wife who really, truly loves you.'" Okay, 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Isn't that fascinating? It works if you work it. It's up to you to work these principles. That's a marvelous demonstration of these blessing techniques. And when you use the blessing technique, you're blessing the power of God. You are calling forth divine love. And when you take the time to articulate what you're feeling and what is going on in terms of the values and the rules by which you live your life, you create the openness for God to express to you in a greater and greater way. You have more and more connection. Day by day, your conscious awareness of your oneness. You find yourself, wow, I'm in the right place at the right time again. And your life just flourishes and it's all good. And I just want you to know, for the goodness of God within every single one of you, I bless you, I bless you, I bless you. I love you. Oh, that's so hard to speak for only 20 minutes and make a point. Thank you.